So I worked at my current job as an eyewear sales rep for about 6 months now, about half a year. So I'm gonna give you guys like a few tips that I've learned as a door-to-door salesperson because part of my job is like trying to get new clients. So I would have to go to different optometry offices, certain eyewear shops, and try to promote the eyewear, right? And then try to convince them, hey, like try us out and buy our frames, basically. And there's a few tips that I feel like is very important, regardless of any kind of product that you're trying to sell, especially if you're trying to go door to door, you know. And the first one is you really want to make a good first impression, right? As soon as you enter the door, you know, you want to be having, you want to have like good posture. You want to have a nice smile on your face, right? You don't want to be like looking hella angry and then trying to like cause problems basically, right? You want to be coming in there trying to see if you can help them, right? You have to come in there with that kind of like mentality of like, oh, I'm coming here to give you something that you probably need, right? Because for the most part, when I go in there, I know that the frames that I sell them are much cheaper than whatever they're paying for like designer brands, you know, like Dior or Prada or whatever. Like the brand that I sell is much cheaper. So I know I'm doing them a favor by, you know, giving them a lot of products for their display for a much lower price. So, you know, and it really comes down to understanding your customer needs. So that's the second tip, right? You want to understand what your customer needs in that moment, right? If they don't need, you know, a cheaper product, or, you know, their customer base only likes designer brands, then you can't help them, right? That's something that's out of your control. I've had that happen a few times where I went into a eyewear shop and they were like, "Oh, my customer base, they only buy designer. They only buy designer. They do not look at anything else." In that case, like, what am I supposed to do, right? I can't really do anything about that. That's just their customer base. They know their customers better than I do, right? Even if I offered them to them for free, they wouldn't even take it. So at that point, like, there's no sale to be made, right? And you want to keep your pitch very simple and conversational, right? Like, you don't want to be selling people. Like, people don't like to feel sold, like they're being sold to, if that makes sense. Like, how would you like to feel like someone's tricking you? It feels like you're being tricked, pretty much. Like, they're tricking you to buy something that you didn't really need in the first place. That's pretty much what being sold to feels like. So when you approach people, or when I do it, when I approach people, right, I try to make sure I come from the perspective of how can I help you, right? Like, and I'm gonna figure out, like, is it something like we can work together on, like if like it's if this relationship is, you know, beneficial for both of us, right? Because I'm not gonna get, like, for example, for the person that only sells designer brands, right? If I sold him frames and he doesn't sell them, that really hurts him, right? He just wasted money, and now he's sitting on inventory. So that doesn't make sense for him. So I completely understand, right? So you have to take these things with a grain of salt. Like, you can't really feel too attacked by it. And that's following to the next one is you want to handle rejections gracefully. Like, in this line of work, you're going to get rejected so much, but it's very it's just part of the business, right? It's not like they're coming after you on a personal level, right? It's an opportunity where you can refine your approach and figure out how to do it better next time. And let's say they do reject you. You just politely thank them for the time and then leave them a business card and say, "Hey, in case you reconsider, you know, give me a call." And sometimes they'll say like, "Oh, like, you can always leave a business card or whatever." They'll usually be the ones that offer to just, you can leave your information and we'll contact you if they're interested. And at that point, it's always good to follow up with them. You know, and that's following to the last tip, which is you want to follow up strategically, right? Whether you know, do it on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis or whatever, you have to create a system where you follow up strategically, right? What I noticed is the clients that I have a good interaction with and I follow up with, they'll eventually buy from me. Like, there was one customer I did in Oakland Gardens that was some a walk-in that I did. I had to follow up with her like 3 times, 4 times to get an appointment with the doctors. And when I finally did, they actually made an order, and it was a pretty decent order. So that just goes to show, like, you have to be able to be on top of your follow-up, and do it strategically. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. So I'm going to give you one more bonus tip that I figured out, just to get you guys more sales, and when you're in the door, how to actually capture that lead. So some of the things that I do is part of just like getting the account open first, right? So the first thing that I do would be I offer them some terms, right? So like, let's say they don't want to pay up front, so I just be like, okay, that's fine. You take the frames first, and in 30 days we'll bill you the first bill. That way you could try it out for 30 days, see if they sell or not. And if they don't sell in the 30 days, I'll always come back and just take them back from you. No harm done. And the 30 days, if you do sell them, or they do pretty well, then you keep the frames and just keep selling them, right? Or if anything, I can do some exchanges and take away some of the ones that are not selling and swap them out, right? So that's always an option. And by giving that alternative, it's like they have nothing to lose. At that point, it's just like, why not try it? It puts them in a position where they can't say no. It'd be silly for them to say no, right? Imagine someone came up to you and be like, hey, I have some stuff for you to sell, really high quality, very good price. Give them a shot. You don't even have to pay up front. Who's not going to accept that? That's a great deal. So you want to find the approach that makes them pretty much say, makes it impossible for them to say no, basically, right? So that's kind of like the approach that I came up with, that to me psychologically makes a lot of sense. Like, if anybody approached me in that manner, I would 100% say yes. And I'm not gonna lie, that approach has worked for me for the good amount of time. The only thing that I have an issue with is sometimes my office will charge them anyway, which is like not okay, because I told them the terms already. So like the office is just getting kind of greedy. Sometimes my office just pisses off the clients because they're doing stuff that we never agreed upon, right? So it is what it is. I just got to make sure the office doesn't do stuff like that in the future. So that's it for this video. It's pretty short, just a few tips that I wanted to give you guys that that I accumulated throughout my 6 months of doing eyewear sales. And I hope you guys found this helpful. If it did, drop a thumbs up. If it didn't, drop a thumbs down. Just wasted like 5 minutes of your life. And yeah, check out my other videos if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.